Welcome award-winning photographer, Platon.
All right. Happy birthday, first of all, Wired. And I want to say it's such an honor to be here. I'm making a little bit of history today because I am the least technological person on the planet talking to the most clever people in the universe. But I have a habit of doing that. All right, let's begin. I'm going to talk to you about power. I'm going to talk to you about leadership. I'm going to talk to you about leaders of power movements. And then I'm going to talk to you about power of the people, people like you and me. All right, let's begin. This is Obama. This is the moment he announced he's running for president. He'd just been on Oprah Winfrey, and he came back to his office in Chicago, and I did this portrait of him. This is the Obama that we all thought we would get as a president. Charismatic, an incredible speaker, going to lead us all into a new era. But this is the real Obama. He's much more cautious than that. He likes to think about all his options before he makes a move. In fact, on his desk, in his office in Chicago, he was reading a self-help book at the time, and it was called Be Quiet, Be Heard, How to Raise Delicate Issues with an Opponent and Still Find Common Ground. Sort of like how to compromise. Interesting. All right, Daddy Bush. Cover of Texas Monthly, and I did this with Scott Daddidge, actually. I don't know where you are, Scott, but we go way back, Scott and I. So we did this on the cover of Texas Monthly during W's reign. So while his son was in the White House, this came out. And we were all a little worried as to what the White House administration would make of the president's father in this slightly provocative gesture. And the day it came out, I got an email from one of W. Bush's chief advisors, and if I may take liberties, I'd like to read it to you. Dear Mr. Platon, congratulations on a cover with cross-generational appeal. George Bush's two upraised fingers may represent a victory sign or a peace sign, depending on which side of World War II the reader was born. However, my 3-year-old daughter had a different take. Upon glimpsing the cover from her seat at the front of the grocery cart, she exclaimed happily, "Daddy, that man sings Little Bunny Foo-Foo." Everyone's got a different take, folks. All right, this is him in his favorite chair. And this is the sun. So I was told this guy is the kind of guy you want to have a beer with. You know, he's a kind of easygoing dude. I did this a year after he left the presidency. As soon as he walked in the room, I realized within a second it's going to be one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. The first thing he does is he takes 2 fingers and points really aggressively into my chest, and he says, "You better be photographing someone who's happy and not some kind of snarler. Get it?" I was freaked out. I think he thought I was part of a left-wing media conspiracy out to get him. The reality was that he didn't want to show what he was really feeling. He had witnessed the whole world celebrate Obama's victory, but perhaps they're also celebrating Bush's exit. And that takes a toll on someone. And the last thing you want when you're going through the idea of your legacy is someone like me getting up close and personal. So what did he show me? He showed me the mask of politics. But sometimes the mask tells you more about the truth than the truth does. Okay. I got into a lot of trouble on this one. So this was my first president, and it should have been my last. It was the cover of Esquire. And what's happened? Oh, my God, what happened? All right. Sorry, Bill. All right. Well, that broke the ice. Now, listen. Let's continue with that. So, anyway, where was I? Yes. I was not the magazine's first choice. I was their 4th choice. The other 3 guys were out of town. So they said, "Look, Platon, this is a very important cover for us. Don't screw it up. We want a nice, dignified headshot of our president. Whatever you do, do not use that wide-angle lens." I said, okay. They said, you've got 8 minutes to set up, to do the portrait, and they shut down a 200-room Marriott hotel to do it. So there I was, setting up. Secret Service were watching every move I made. I heard cheers outside as the motorcade arrived. I started getting really nervous. And then there was a Secret Service guy watching me in the room, and he had a walkie-talkie strapped to his lapel. So through the loudspeaker, you can kind of hear the day's progress. So the first thing I hear is, the president is in the building. Then I hear, the president is having a Diet Coke break. The president has finished his Diet Coke. He'll be in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. I swear to God, man, by the time he walks in the room, there's doves flying out of his back, there's choir singing. It's like meeting a chubby Elvis in a white suit. What a build-up. So anyway, he walks in, and I did the pictures for 7.5 minutes. Nice, elegant headshots like the magazine wanted. And then I said to myself, this is where you become Platon. This is where you say to yourself, come on, dude, you're supposed to do a picture today. You're never going to be in front of a president ever again, man, so you might as well do the picture you were born to do. Invest everything in this moment. So to get his attention, I put on the wide-angle lens, and I said, Mr. President, will you show me the love? Silence in the room. I think John Podesta was there, the chief of staff, and he said, Mr. President, whatever you do, do not show him the love. We've had enough love in this administration, Mr. President. Then Clinton says, shut up, I know what he means. Put his hands on the knees and gave me the Clinton charisma, right? So I got it on film. And then 3 weeks later, I went home after a hard day's work, and I was watching TV with my wife, and we had ordered a Chinese takeout. So there I am putting the noodles in my mouth, and Larry King comes on CNN. It's 9 o'clock. So Larry King says, tonight we are talking about this. And he holds up this picture on an advanced leaked copy of Esquire magazine. He said, this is disgusting, folks. This is outrageous that we show our president in this lurid way. And I've invited Bob Woodward from the Washington Post to analyze it for the hour. So Bob says, I know how this works, Larry. It's all the photographer's planning. It's all about sex, you see. The hands are big to grope you. The legs are spread apart. The face is smiling, saying, I got away with the biggest scandal in the White House. And the tie is an arrow. So I leaned over to my wife as the noodles fell out of my mouth, and she says, there goes your green card application. All right, run and hide, folks. We're getting serious now. Thank you very much. All right. Now, I was sent to do this dude to Moscow. It was Times Person of the Year. And as far as I know, it's the only portrait he's ever done and ever will do. So I was driven an hour and a half outside Moscow to his private dacha in the middle of a dark, bleak, cold forest in midwinter. I thought I was going to get whacked by the KGB. So you arrive, and then there's a 3-story high security wall covered in snipers. And as I got out the car, I saw some orange dots on my chest from the you know. So at gunpoint, I'm led into the building. Right, now, I'm about to commit career harry-carry here. So I'm going to tell you something that I'm not supposed to tell. If I get in big trouble, this is the evidence. So I was in his office, and I needed power for my light. There was no plug socket. So I saw one plug socket by his desk. So I went to switch out the plug that was already in it and swap it with mine. And all his guards dived on me. Niet! Don't touch the wire! So they pointed to the wire as it led onto the back of his desk into the back of a red phone in a glass case with single button on it. I'm aging fast, folks. I can't handle this career. It's doing me in. So anyway, he walks in, and he has a translating earpiece, and he has about 15 advisors and all the bodyguards. So I said to him, Mr. Putin, it's great to meet you. I'm a massive Beatles fan. Are you? So everyone looks at each other. he takes off the translating earpiece. In Russian, he throws out all the advisors. So it's me, Putin, and about 15 security guards left. Very cozy. In perfect English, he says to me, "I love the Beatles." I said, "I didn't know you speak English." He said, "I speak great English." So I said, "Well, who's your favourite Beatle then?" He said, "Paul." So I said, "What's your favourite song?" And he went, "Yesterday." Interesting. So, just checking. So anyway, I said, "I've got to give you a hug, man. This is ridiculous." So there I was hugging a man with a very questionable human rights record, to say the least. So, joking aside, that pop art connection allowed me to get close. And I ended up 1.5 inches away from his nose, and I got that cold, authoritative glare of power that he really has. This is the face of the KGB. And then he wanted to perform power for me. And he did this. Amazing moment. I'm not going to talk about this woman because she broke up the Beatles. Let's move on. Okay. Thank you. Dr. Kissinger, I presume. So I said to him, "Wow, you've got such a cool style, man. I love the suspenders. If you look, there's a few food stains on his shirt." He doesn't care. So he said, "Oh, Platon, you're the greatest con artist I ever met." I said, "Thank you very much." All right, let's get serious. So, at the beginning of what we now call the Great Recession, I had this idea. Never before in history has leadership and authority and governance failed us on this monumental scale. But never before in history have the people had the technology to hold our leaders accountable. I wanted to show the truth of who's in power, to get a real sense of who's running the show, because we've been let down. And I am sick of all this political branding, hype, and propaganda. We, the people, want to know who really is running the show. I had this idea to photograph and humanize the power system in the world. So I talked to my friend Ban Ki-moon, and I talked to my friends at the New Yorker, and they all came together to produce this historic project. After 67 meetings, I was let into the UN, and I was given historic access to the action. They let me into the GA, the General Assembly, where all the world leaders come together. So here I was, day one. Obama was making his first address as President of the United States to the General Assembly. And I was a few feet away from the podium, waiting when he's finished so I can do his portrait. Rahm Emanuel was there. Hillary Clinton was there. Axelrod was there. The sniffer dogs, the Secret Service, his medic team, and even the guy with the codes in the briefcase, the nuclear codes. So suddenly, in this confined space, there's this giant crowd swell coming towards us, about 80 to 100 people. In the middle is Gaddafi, marching in slow-motion defiance. He's surrounded by about 15 bodyguards, all women, all dressed head to foot in military clothing. As he gets closer, this is a protocol nightmare because you get the Libyan delegation and the White House clashing in a small space. This is not allowed to happen, and it's all my fault. Gaddafi comes right up to me and gestures as if to say, "I will sit for my first and only portrait on American soil, but I will do it under the nose of the White House administration. I want them to watch me in my moment of glory." And that defiance permeated the whole picture. An amazing moment. It's like Custer's last stand. This is Abbas, leader of the Palestinian movement. And you look at his face, you'll see the world on his shoulders. The pressure is so intense. This is Netanyahu. This man has a totally different character. He's strong-willed. He has a kind of charisma. In fact, at this point, as I took the picture, he said to me, "Platon, make me look good." Okay, let's swing the pendulum to the technology that's liberating the world and showing our leaders for what they really are. I was honored to be commissioned by Wired, by Scott Daddage, to photograph the whole tech titan community that we have. And it was one of the most inspiring projects I've ever worked on, especially considering I don't even do email. I don't know how to receive or send an email. Can you believe it? So, this is Jack Dorsey, who invented Twitter. Jack is cool, calm, collected. I asked him about leadership, and he said, good leadership is not about showing someone to do something or telling them. It's about doing. This is Marissa Mayer of Yahoo, who I think is talking to you today. So we talked about what it was like when she had her baby recently. And she said, everybody told me I'm going to change, my life's going to change, I'm going to feel different about my work. She said, I don't feel different. I'm the same person. The only difference is I take my baby to work. And I thought, that's kind of interesting, because she's building this company again from the ground up. She wanted to go to the parking lot to see how easy it is to park there. She went to the canteen to see what the food is like. This technology is about being on the ground. It's about the direct relationship with our customers, unlike the old power system, which is about separating ourselves from the people. This is Elon Musk, one of the inventors of PayPal. He also is in charge of Tesla Motors and now SpaceX, and he's actually embracing one of the rocket boosters for one of his rockets. He talked about the physics of a company with me, and a very humble point of view. He said sometimes you can get a small group of people, a band of merry brothers and sisters who are all united in a common goal. They believe in each other, they believe in their vision. Now this small company can outdo a massive corporation filled with thousands more people, but they're all competing against each other. They're all trying to trip each other up to get the promotion. This is Reid Hoffman, also of PayPal and now LinkedIn. Reid Hoffman was the most soulful character I've met in a long, long time. He said, what we do in life matters. How we communicate and interact with society matters. How we travel on the planet Earth matters. And the moment we forget thinking about that, the moment we put that aside, our lives become erratic. This is what they call the PayPal mafia. So you have Jeremy Stoppelman, Max Levchin, and the YouTube dudes. Jeremy was very humble about his position of success. And he talked about the paranoia of success, that the higher up you go, the more pressure there is on you to reach excellence all the time. And in this game, if you skip something, if you miss a trend, someone else can grab that space, and you can become obsolete so fast. So he said that humility, that sense of being humble all the time, keeps him on his toes. Aha. So, considering I've never sent an email, I was very honored to get a lesson in Instagram from the founder of Instagram. So this is Kevin Systrom. And so he taught me how to send and work the whole little gadget thing. So what I did was, that's his phone, and I took a portrait of him on his phone through his Instagram account, and he's showing it to me with great pride. We all know who this is. Very sort of spiritual person. If you look, he's looking slightly above the camera lens, not into the lens, and that's very much his personality, always slightly looking ahead. This is someone we don't know, perhaps, Steve Ballmer of Microsoft. Now, again, I'm not supposed to talk like this about people, but I always break the rules in a nice way. So when he walked in, he's a big guy, he's like a bear, right? And I'm tiny. So I looked up at him and I said to him, I've been told that I should be really scared of you. And he said, I've been told that I'm the meanest son of a bitch in the business. So I said, well, look, I'm not scared of you. Actually, I admire you. I respect what you've achieved. I think it's amazing, but I'm not intimidated. And as soon as I said that, something beautiful happened. He closed his eyes and he took a deep breath. And it was like a moment of serenity. And then I realized that energy is actually about control and learning how to push it into a tiny point. This is the new frontier. This is the new generation of the tech titans. So I'll try and get through it if I can. I'll try to remember everybody. So you've got Eventbrite. You've got the Khan Academy. You've got Pinterest. You've got Leah Busk from TaskRabbit. Yes, I did it. So very humble people, really trying to make a difference in society. Again, Dropbox, Airbnb, Reddit, all very cool people. This is a heavyweight. This is Tim Cook from Apple. Tim Cook came in, he said, I hate this more than anything. I hate having my picture taken. I hate it. So together, we stripped down his resistance, his fear of the camera, and we rebuilt it again. And I ended up with this image that you have the power, the authority, the inspiration, the focus, and the discipline of Apple all over his face. All right, this was interesting. So I went to the Facebook campus, and I was told, as I got there, it was this crazy scene. It was like the kids are running the university, right? I was the only one in a suit. It's Hoodieville over there. And they've got all these white walls. There's no corporate art on the walls. There's just graffiti everywhere. Every 10 paces, they've got these little plastic cups with Sharpies in, and you're encouraged to scribble on the walls. Once in a while, you get a poster stapled to the walls with slogans from Zuckerberg's mind. And the slogans say incredible things like, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Or people, not pixels. Or we're only 1% done. Or done is better than perfect. So it was like this incredible, almost brainwashing experience of courage. So he walks in the room, and he's like a wild animal in a cage. He hates this perhaps more than Tim Cook hates it. So he's pacing up and down, and he's paranoid about the 2 pieces of string from his hoodie being totally parallel and equal distance, just like I would straighten a tie. So he sat for me, and this is the face of resistance. You can see he doesn't yet trust me. He's not enjoying the experience. You can see the tension that he has. So I said to him, how should you cope with failure? How do you cope with failure? And he looked at me in a really confused way, and he said, simply, I love what I do. So I said, show me. And this happened. He changed. And the beauty, he becomes elegant. He becomes a dreamer. He's in tune with life. It only lasted for about 2 seconds, but I got it on film. So as I left, I walked past the courtyard. I was led there by this very sexy PR girl, and it was a courtyard where everyone eats lunch. Thousands of people. And there was this glass office with glass walls, and I saw Zuckerberg walk into the office and start briefing a whole army of young hoodie people ready to take on the world. So I said, is that his office? And the sexy girl said, yeah, it is. So I said, what about privacy? Like, that must freak him out. Everyone's having lunch around his office. She said, you don't understand. This is what Facebook's all about, transparency. So I said, yeah, but doesn't he get pissed off if everyone's standing looking at him all the time? She said, oh, no, no one dares look through the glass. All right, let's wrap this show up. So I heard there was a revolution going on in Egypt, and I went there to Tahrir Square, and I built my studio in the middle of the square, and I wanted to meet the people who are changing the world. And in many cases, using this technology that I've been privileged to photograph all the founders of to make the world a better place. So, these are the young, brave people who are using this technology. They're not using it just to send pictures of their cats, as someone eloquently said earlier. They are actually showing the world and each other what is really going on in their country. This is Wael Ghonim. He's the Google executive who did the Facebook page that sparked the revolution. And I said to him, was it really Facebook that created the Egyptian revolution? He said, no, it wasn't. Facebook allowed us to communicate under the surface. But after a while, the government got scared, so they shut down the internet. So what happened? Everyone was in the dark. So we all hit the streets. Literally, the only way to find out what's going on was to do it old school. Talk to your neighbor. The difference is, millions of people were on the streets at the same time talking to their neighbor, and they felt a people phenomenon all of a sudden. So yes, Facebook helped. It almost sparked it. But what really made it, again, was that passionate people thing. This is a young girl holding up a picture of a phone of Tahrir Square. So, last picture now. I was in Tahrir Square. Now, there was this guy who was a young guy. He was about 22 years old. He was a beautiful guy. He worked out every day, didn't drink, didn't smoke, very handsome, and he played guitar and sang songs, kind of like a young Bob Dylan. And every day he would go to the square to cheer people up, to motivate people, to say, come on, we can do this together. He became very popular and was known as the singer of the revolution. One night, the government officials wanted to make an example of him. So they grabbed him, pulled him aside, tore off his shirt, and with a taser gun began to taser his back. Now, in Egypt, they had a formal torture policy. They will taser you until you start to scream uncontrollably. Then you're useless to them. This guy was so proud, so brave, that he refused to make a sound, so they carried on until his back caught fire. He nearly died, and he was rushed to hospital. A few weeks later, he was released, and instead of going home to recuperate, he heard there's a photographer in town taking pictures of the leaders of the revolution, and he insisted on coming to see me. He arrived on set, very frail, with his guitar, and I asked him to show me the marks on his back. He took his shirt off, and I have never experienced this before. I have never seen beautiful flesh damaged in this awful way. I burst into tears. I held his hand, and I said, my dear friend, you're a beautiful person, man. You're a musician. No one should ever hurt someone like you, ever. I'm so sorry about the marks on your back. They're horrible. And he said, Platon, my dear friend, never feel sorry for me, because I wear these marks on my back with great pride, because they are evidence that I changed my country for the better. But I have come here for your help. He said, I want you to photograph me not as a victim, but as a victor. The more they hurt me, the stronger I became. So show me as a man who's strong, not as weak. So together, we did this. So, thank you. He's showing you the marks with great pride. He's saying, basically, look what we as a people can take. He's holding his guitar not as an instrument, but as a weapon. This picture became a poster of the revolution, and it was distributed around the country and around the Arab Spring in general, using this kind of technology that we are all part of. So I leave this little message with you folks, that this is people power. And all this incredible technology we're developing is only here to serve the people. And we must never allow the technology to dominate us. We always have to be in control. So thank you for listening. You've been a great audience. Thank you.